Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Dropping Into Happiness. We are your hosts. I am Rachel.
And I'm Maggie. Hello.
Hello, friends. I'm not going to lie, a little flustered right now. Maggie and I had this day set to record. We were all good to go, and I went to log on, and my computer was like, nope, not today, ma'am.
Yeah.
Woo! I mean, it's such like a double-edged sword. I don't know if that's even the term I'm thinking of, because like not double-edged sword, like a blessing and a curse kind of thing with technology. Like it's so helpful, but when it goes out, it is the absolute most stressful thing. Like because we don't realize how much we rely on all the things until all the things are gone.
Yeah.
I'm okay though. I'm okay.
I've had my fair share of technical difficulties when it comes to executing the podcast, so I can definitely empathize with how you are feeling right now. But it's okay.
Oh my
and
gosh.
We're here now. So.
I know. I just kept texting Maggie. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm working on it. But woo, we're here. Okay.
All
right.
Well, ready to rock.
Not a lot of setup for this, but I do have another Patreon friend to thank. For those who don't remember, yes, we do have a Patreon. Literally, it's just if you guys ever want to help out Maggie and I when it comes to all these things, because all of the things that we use, all this technology costs money. So if you ever just want to say, hey, I support you guys, I want to help out, I love what you guys do, Patreon is there for you guys. And so Mary D, thank you, Mary. Shout out to Mary for being our new Patreon member. And then we're going to hop right on into our topic today. So friends, I don't even know what made this topic come to mind for me. I swear, sometimes I'll be doing the most random thing and I'm like, this would be great to talk about. So our discussion today is fear. Like no acronym, just fear. What is it? How does it affect our day, our journey, our goals? Because I think fear's kind of ugly. Fear's a bad dude. Like fear will keep us back. It will hinder us. It will keep us from shooting for our goals. So I want to talk about that today. How has fear held us back? What kind of things has fear kept us from? Maybe how we've overcome fear in the past. So that's what we're going to discuss today. I know it might sound a little woo-woo when it comes to like, oh, it just taken with fear today. No, seriously, I feel like this could be a really good conversation. So Maggie, I feel like you, okay, and this is funny, I'm going to say this and tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like you are pretty fearless. Okay, and this is why I say that. You ran a full marathon, not at your goal weight. Like before you had even really started, you're like, I'm going to shoot for this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. Did that scare the living bejeebus out of you? Or were you just like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just all in.
Yeah, I think I had moments of doubt, but I never felt fear, if that makes sense, which I mean, doubt is probably a product of fear, but I definitely have moments of, oh man, I might get swept off this course. But yeah, it's interesting with a lot of things in my life. I'm all gas, no brakes, like let's go for it. But then on the other hand, I will have some things that hold me back. Like one of the first things that came to mind when I saw the topic was on fear was box jumps. So I've been working on that skill, which if you're not familiar with what a box jump is, it's standing on the ground and then jumping up on a box, and you can change the height of the box, just depending upon what you have available to you. But at one point, I was afraid to even jump up on like a 12-inch box and then a 16-inch box. And now I still will only jump up on the 20-inch soft box. So not the wood box. And so that's my next fear hurdle, because I know I have the height, but I get very afraid that I will not clear the box and then bust up my shins or hurt myself and then not be able to run or do anything else that I enjoy doing. So that's definitely a fear that I'm still actively trying to conquer. And I don't know what that stems from, because I've seen people like in my like position or maybe even less experienced, like jump up on a box no problem. I think part of it is like when you've been overweight for a lot of your life and you've not had a lot of stability, mobility, height, like all of that, like anytime I would have to get myself up off from the ground and like be in the air for any period of time, it was like, no way. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. That's something that I am actively working on right now. It is getting in my way. I was
going to say that
my
too.
fear
Like,
is
where
getting
does
in my
it
way.
come from? Yeah, because like, especially if it's not something that's happened to you, we just know the possibility of it happening to you. So immediately that fear, it's like, oh, well, this could happen, so I'm just not going to do it. Like, even though it might not. Yeah.
And I've seen it happen too, which I don't think helps. But also knowing like most of the people that bang up their shins on a wooden box, like they live to tell the story. It's not like life or death here, but it's definitely like, I just don't want to risk, you know, when you love like running or you love anything where your legs are involved, you're like, I don't want to risk like taking myself out temporarily. So, but I know that like, although there is some logic in the fear, like I know that it is a fear that I will overcome, but it's taking me time. Maybe after this podcast, I'll go out and just rip it because I've talked about it, but it's definitely like, it's so nerve-wracking.
See, I think that's where my fear of like I've always wanted to do a half marathon. I don't know why, not a full marathon. I'm okay with not doing a full, but I've always wanted to do a half. But I think my fear is, I keep putting, like you said, doubt could be, you know, that byproduct of fear. Like, oh, well, my feet will probably hurt. What if I get a stitch in my side halfway through? My lungs are going to be burning. Even if I train for this, I have this fear of pain that I'm not even positive would happen, or pain that, like you said, I know I would live through. But I just, I mean, and I feel like too, even when it comes to food, I feel like so many people, especially being a WW coach and hearing this, and then it also kind of, you know, from my own experience, the fear of, oh, well, I don't want to not ever have this again, or I don't want to not have this, which with WW, by the way, nothing is off the table, but I feel like some of us have that fear in our head of, oh, I don't want to never not have, like, double negative, my favorite food again. I don't want to not have this. And that's not the case, but we ingrain this into our brain that we're going to be missing out. Like, we're going to have huge FOMO if we do this. And so that fear of FOMO, that fear of missing out, for anybody that doesn't know what FOMO means, that FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. That can just so deter us from certain things. And I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's so funny because FOMO, I feel like, motivates me to do a lot of things that I do. Like, for example, I ran the Dopey challenge in January, and I thought, you know, I have retired. I was like, I'm done. If I do any long distance races, it'll be like the big ones, like New York, Chicago, or like local half marathons or something. Like, I'm done. But then, like, I saw someone post about doing the perfect season of Run Disney, where they ran every race for that calendar year, like at Walt Disney World, and I was like, dang it, I didn't do that. now I have FOMO that I'm like, oh, I should probably do that at some point, like just to say that I did. Or like my friend and I were actually on a run this morning, and she's an Iron Man or Iron Woman, I don't know, athlete, like a full Iron Man. But she was telling me that was a 2.4 mile swim, 112 miles on the bike, and then you pop off the bike and you do 26.2 miles. I was like, it was so funny because I caught myself going, like, saying out loud, no way. But I would have said, I said the same thing about a marathon at one point in my life. I said the same thing about CrossFit, like, no way. And then so I'm like, I'm not counting myself out, but it will be a big leap if I one day call myself an Ironman finisher. But yeah, FOMO actually, I think, motivates me because I don't want to miss out. So I'm like, I'll just.
I see, but I like that. I like that because it is a challenge, because it is something you fear. You're like, I'm going to overcome this, because I do feel like once we do, that feels so good, and we have just this great sense of accomplishment. But getting over that fear initially is what we got to figure that out. We got to figure out how to get past that. Side note on the Iron Man thing, though. Iron Man, I have so much respect for people who do Iron Man. Y'all are insane in the most wonderful way. I am so You blow my mind. I even saw a video the other day and I was bawling because this dad, I think he was in his 60s or 70s doing the Ironman, not just by himself. He had his son who is a paraplegic, so he cannot run. So his son was in a kayak when he was swimming and he was pulling him on the bike. He was in a back cart pulling him. And when he ran, he pushed him in a wheelchair. I was like, I was bawling watching that video. So I was like, oh my gosh, because the son looked so excited to be a part of it and to feel like he did it too. I was like, oh
it's so emotional.
I love it. I love it.
The feeling, the sense, like you mentioned, the sense of accomplishment is just out of this world. When I was on TikTok and I saw a video, I think the dad had a 32-year long running streak. Like he'd gone on a run every day for like 32 years. And it was a sad, like, bittersweet day. It was his last mile run before he was gonna have hip surgery and ruin his streak, or like break his streak. So obviously that's something that's out of his control, but they, like, his whole family came together. Like, people flew in, you know, from out of town. They got the whole neighborhood involved. They were wearing t-shirts, and they were, you know, they created a little finish line for him for his his last mile. And I just was like, ooh, that's so sweet. Like, and it's so bittersweet for him. I'm sure it feels so bittersweet because that's like a really long commitment. But another, like, fear that I'm actively working on too is handstands. I really want to do a handstand, like even just with the wall, I would be super proud of. And I have a friend who was in the FSU circus, so she's very like equipped in the gymnastic sense, and she can do like walking handstands, and she's just awesome. So she was trying to help me the other day, and we were like really close to a wall, and I was supposed to like kind of just like put my hands up in the air, then put them down on the ground, and then try to kick my leg up to like tap the wall and then come back down. And like I was really in my head about that, because I'm like, I'm going to drop, like my arms aren't going to be strong enough that I'm going to drop myself and like land on my head and then like have a brain injury. Like I just I'm like 0 to 100, you know, or I'm going to like snap my neck or something. And I think, again, because you think about, I have my entire body weight above me, like, and I'm just like holding myself up with my arms. It's like, but then I just kept like trying to go for it. I was like, just go for it. And the worst case scenario, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I was able to get a little bit more effective with it. And I feel like every time I go and do it, it'll get better. Like another thing, climbing a rope. I feel like they used to do that in like
worst upper body strength. I can't do it.
Yeah. I just couldn't even get myself barely off the ground. Like she was trying to show me just the first technique, you know, to pull yourself up into a tuck, and I'm like, I just can't even get myself off the ground. And then a part of me is like, it's a fear of just like being off the ground. I don't know. It's like I'm gonna drop myself, and not trusting the strength, you know, that you have to keep yourself dangling like on this rope. So yeah. And I think
for the
fear,
handstand, for your handstand, have you because in my mind, to get a handstand, I had to figure out how to get my body in the upright position. Not my arms yet. I practiced getting my body in the upright position. A girlfriend of mine, love her to death. She was on the radio that I worked at. I love her. She's a yoga instructor, and she was helping me with this too. So have you done the one where, so your head's on the ground and your arms are almost like in a triangle, and you do that first? Have you done that one yet?
No, I don't think so. No, like where you kind of already start. One.
So essentially, I mean, you've done down dog in yoga, right? So your face is down, and then your bottom's up, and your feet are down. But so almost like walk your feet in, and like you put your head down, and your arms almost like, so like each finger would touch, and then your elbows would go out, making kind of like a little triangle. And then literally like you just kind of hinge at the waist and start with just kicking one foot straight up. And then the other foot, and getting comfortable, and then trying to get, I was able to do it. And I was like, I kept telling her, there's no way. And I did it on the first day. Obviously not the first try, but that morning that we worked on it, I was like, oh. So that, I think, just getting comfortable with your body being in opposite, parallel, you know, or horizontal, no, parallel, to the ground. That was cool. And just getting comfortable with that, I think, was my biggest fear. Because then once you go to hands, it's not as scary. The arm part isn't as scary to me. It's having my body in that position. I'm sorry for y'all on YouTube. I'm like putting my arm in front of the camera, like, look, like this.
Like this. They need the visuals.
Upright. I know. Yeah. Try that. I might even have to send you a little video on how to do that, because I'm telling you, it's really cool. It actually feels really cool because you're doing it. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And then just add the arms later. Yeah.
It's interesting that with so much in life, to see growth, to like accomplish new things, you have to be uncomfortable. And so many of us just have a fear of being uncomfortable. Like you said, like I have a fear of like just being uncomfortable during a really long race, because like, you know, yes, it will eventually be over, but it's gonna suck like in the moment, you know? And I think that's something that helps me with overcoming fear, is like, whatever happens, like, it will pass. This isn't a forever thing. So just go for it, because the risk is oftentimes outweighed by the reward of that sense of accomplishment. And then sometimes like trying something and then taking a little break and coming back to it again, you usually feel a little bit more confident just each time you do that. So then that builds your self-efficacy, right? Our belief that in ourselves that we can accomplish something. So, I mean, I always tell like my students, if they feel nervous or afraid before a performance, it's like, that's normal. It means that you care. It's like, it's okay. It's okay to have fear, because you do care about what you're doing, or you care about your life and your health and your safety and all of that. But then, you know, what's that phrase? Feel the fear, but do it anyway. Go for it. Woohoo.
But see that too, not just when it comes to our athleticism or our weight loss journey, but just life in general. I remember that the first time I sang in front of, because honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm more scared to sing in front of a small group of people than a large group of people. In front of a large group of people, I almost can wipe it out and not look at anyone. But when it's a small group of people, like there's just like, 6 sets of eyes looking at you, and you're like, oh geez, like you can feel all of them. But I think those kinds of things too. I love that I was able to perform at Disneyland. I love that I was able to perform solos when I was in high school, but I had to get over that fear, because like you said, it's going to happen. And you know what? I did, and it was so funny. I think it was my senior year. I went up against all the boys. I think I've told you this. I auditioned for a male part because I'm a low tenor. And I went up against all the boys, and I got the part, and it was the opening solo to Aladdin. Remember, I think I've talked about this a long time ago. But when I was on stage and we were doing a performance, I cracked at that long note at the end, and I started laughing. And my my teacher even told me, he goes, I love that was your reaction to that. Because I'm like, it happened. It's okay. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. But like any other time, like earlier in, probably my freshman year, I would have died. I probably would have quit choir. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I cracked in front of this entire auditorium. I started laughing. But then every time after that, I would laugh at that part, because I just thinking about me not hitting that note was just hilarious. But I had to have that sense of humor, or I would have been mortified. So I'm glad I was able to turn that fear around, though.
Yeah, I feel like life is just so much more manageable when you have a sense of humor. Yes. Especially those little minor inconveniences. It's just...
Be able to laugh at yourself. Like the box jumps. If you fall on your butt after a box jump, I would probably start laughing.
I had to learn how to bail with a barbell, like when you have heavy weight above your head, how to safely, if you know that you're not going to like stick whatever. And I've fallen so many times and heard the barbell go kazong, kazong onto the ground and then just start laughing, because it's like, well, everybody's looking at me.
I'm alive. It's okay.
I'm good. Yeah. Everybody's good. Very good.
Did you see that movie, The Croods, when they were all under the rocks and they pop out and they go, still alive? I always think of that.
No, that's great. I love
that.
Love the message.
Oh yeah. But okay, so I feel like your approach to fear then is a challenge. Like you see fear as a challenge essentially, and I love that.
Oftentimes, I'm quite stubborn, so I just want to accomplish whatever it is. There's some things that I don't know if I'll ever do like jumping out of an airplane. That's just like a challenge. So I'm like, I don't know about that.
I think I would do that though. I would totally do it. I would totally do it.
There are a lot of people out there that are so brave.
I feel like I would even do the bungee jump like off the bridge kind of thing. But my mom jumped out of an airplane. She was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And she did. And she'll never do it again. But she did it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm good. Or sometimes I think about how I have like a fear of the unknown when it comes to the deep, bottomless ocean.
No, thank you. Yeah. That's probably, okay, that's probably my biggest fear is deep, dark water. Like, even on a lake, if it's dark beneath me and I'm kayaking, I don't want to put my hand in there. Because if you think you're alone, in the water.
You're never alone. Which I have a fascination with, like, learning about marine biology and just, like, different, ocean animals, if you will. But just the deep, deep, dark, no. Or like getting stung by a jellyfish. I really don't want that to happen to me.
When I lived in Texas, we were down off one of the islands, and I remember we were in the water, like waist deep or higher, and I remember thinking, ew, that's a lot of trash in the water. I thought they were plastic bags. No, I was surrounded by jellyfish, and then like the alarm started to go off to get out of the water, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh no.
I'm okay.
Good.
No, but did you hear just recently, have you heard about the orcas like tipping boats? Like they're just like intentionally
I'm not surprised.
Boats. Yeah, like orcas are having an uprising right now. They are not happy with us.
I keep getting on ocean TikTok like unintentionally. It just starts happening, and then like I'll see like sharks coming, or like orcas, or just little creatures just coming and messing with boats. Or like one time I saw a video where there was an otter that had was trying to escape like an orca or something, and got on this person's boat, and then like there's just these they're circling, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I feel like I have fear of those kinds of things, but then I'm like, when am I going to find myself in that situation?
Oh, I know.
I don't know.
There's a word for that though, fear of whales. Me and my cousin have that fear of whales. I refuse to ever go whale watching. Don't ever get me whale watching if you think that's something I don't.
I would do that on a big cruise ship or something.
On a big boat, not the little boats they take you out in where they can just go and just jump right on your boat. No, thank you. That is a fear I'm okay to not overcome.
There's just a few that I'm like, but basically I think fear is a part of life. It's totally normal, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. You got to decide, is it worth it to you to power through baby steps, one step at a time, to overcome those fears? Or could you live your whole life not encountering an orca? There's just
But I like your mentality of seeing fear as a challenge. Obviously not when it comes to orcas. I'm not going to challenge one. But when it comes to these everyday things, like what is holding us back? What is this fear we have? And why? Why is this a fear? Is this something that would we live through it? Should it happen? Yeah, absolutely. So I think we need to like head on hit fear in the face. Like, let's do this, buddy. Like, bring it on.
Hit it in the face.
In the face. Woo! All right. Well, it is now time for our goals and recommendations for this week. So I've had a busy week going on. So I feel like I have multiple goals. So I'm going to spread these out. So what about you, Maggie? What's your goal this week?
What is my goal this week is to maintain my running streak. I'm doing a little challenge called A Mile with Maggie. Yay! You do a minimum of a mile of every day. So my goal is to finish strong with that challenge. And my recommendation,
an intentional mile though, right? Like not like throughout your whole day, like an intentional set aside 1 mile. Okay.
Yes, like I'm specifically going outdoors and running or walking a mile at minimum. I've been doing more than that some days, but that's the minimum requirement. And then my recommendation, I have talked about this before probably, but I've had it for almost a year now, and I can say it's one of my top favorite items ever, and it's my Kindle. And I
Yay!
definitely recommend the Kindle Paperwhite, y'all. Like, if you've been thinking
Yes.
about it, if you've just been curious, you're gonna love it. I love that you, especially now I'm on summer break, I have a little bit more time to read. And I just love reading in the summer. So I
Mm-hmm.
love the Libby app. It's a library app, and you
Yes.
can electronically check out books. And I learned, pro tip out there for anyone who uses a Kindle or even the Kindle app, like on an iPad or something. But if you download a book from Libby and then you put the device you're using in airplane mode, you can keep that book and like even past the return date. It'll return the book for you, but then you'll still have it on the device that you've had it on as long as it's still on airplane mode. So, pro
But you
tip,
need
that's
to
been a game
have
changer.
a library card, correct? In order
Yes,
to
you do.
access the Libby. Okay.
Yes. So, and you can get one at, like, I just got one out of my local branch. It was super easy. I didn't even have to go in person. And then you can also pay a little bit extra to get a library card at, like, out of New York library or LA
Ooh.
library, even if you're out of state. And because they usually have a higher inventory of books. You don't have to be
Ooh.
on a wait list as long, but I
Yeah.
digress. If you've thought about the Kindle, it's 100% worth it. And I'm finally starting to decorate mine. We just put a little sticker. And ironic, it's a whale. We were just talking about that. It's a pineapple
Yeah.
whale. But yeah, I love
That's
reading.
funny.
Yay.
No,
That's mine.
did you ever read that book we talked about last
The
time? The Frida
Housemaid?
McFadden book?
No,
Yes.
it's my next book. I'm almost finished with the one, and then I'm reading The Housemaid. I've heard that people read it in like a day. So I
Yes.
wanted to make sure I
Yes.
would start it on a day that it was like I could dedicate the whole day to reading, because I've heard the first and the second one are really good.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I read
yeah.
4 Frida McFadden books in like 2.5 weeks. And the other night, so there's another one that I read at first called The Inmate, which was really good. And I kept telling my mom and my sister, oh, you guys got to read this. So night before last, my mom texted me and my sister, and she's like, hey, I'm going to start The Inmate tonight. And like 6 o'clock yesterday, she was like, oh my gosh. I was like, wait a minute, didn't you just start that? She goes, yeah, but it was a gloomy, rainy day. So I just sat here and read all day. So she read it in like less than 24 hours. She couldn't put it down. Yeah,
I was
so good.
yeah, I was so enthralled in the previous book I was finishing, Wrong Place, Wrong Time, that I'd been sitting all day on Thursday reading, and then I was like, oh, I got to get my mile in, but I didn't want to finish, like, I didn't want to put the book down, so that's why another reason I love the Kindle is, like, you can just hold it in your hand very easily, and I was, like, walking my dog and reading my Kindle at the same
That's
time.
funny.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Love it. Okay, so my goal for this week, this week I started working primarily from home. Like literally my office is in my house now. I will be out in the community, but primarily I'll be at home, which means my entire schedule has been all turned upside down. So my green Mochi, I'm like holding my mic, it keeps dropping my things. So my Mochi cup, my green one that I got from Amazon, it's 40 ounces. Love it. I fill it up the night before actually, so that I make sure it's ready to go first thing in the morning. And then by the end of my workday, I'm done with it. But I've been really good with it, really consistent every single day this week. But that's only 40 ounces, and I want to get up to at least 60. So I want to shoot for having one of those done by like 1 o'clock, refilling it, and then having another one. So that's my goal, even just for one day this week. Maybe just Monday I'll shoot for it. So make sure I can have it, because I like to shoot for Monday, because if I can complete it on Monday, then I'm like, awesome, I can do it again. And if I don't, then I'm like, okay, cool, I still have tomorrow. So Monday this week, I want to have one of these finished before 1 p.m. And then I want to have another one finished by the time I'm done with my day. So that's my goal for this week. My recommendation, though, you know what? I'm going to piggyback on Maggie. Pick up a book, guys.
Yeah,
I love it. Like, I've been having so much fun reading. I do my Kindle. I like to do the Kindle Cloud Reader, so I can read it on my computer. I can read it on my iPad. I can read it on my phone. I do have a Kindle, but I don't ever use it anymore, because I just can access the app anywhere, and they all synchronize with each other. So
yeah.
And you don't have to pay for it. If you have Amazon Prime, I think you already have access to it. So FYI, I didn't pay for Kindle Unlimited, and I recently just upgraded, because I'm like, dude, I've been reading so much. I just needed to upgrade to the Kindle Unlimited. So, But yeah, so pick up a book, guys, even if it's just a little bitty one. Self-help, what are we doing? Psychological thrillers, love stories, whatever. Just pick up a book. It's really nice. It's a great time to read in the summertime, especially when it's still light, so late in the evening. But
yeah, it's great to get off your phone for a little bit. And
it is. Yeah, it is. So, all right, Maggie, what's our quote for today?
Oh, I was so enthralled in our conversation. Okay.
Fear 73.
Is a... Yeah. Oh, 73. Wow. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Ooh, nice.
Decide that courage this week, guys. So, all right. Well, thanks for dropping by.
Have a magical day. Bye.
Bye.